Hello, this is Kian from the Football Obsession podcast. The day after such a grim and depressing night, I'm going to do a review of United season in general. I'm going to try not to let last night cloud my judgment of anything. I think we've had a decent season. It's progression, but it's not success. It's progress, but not success. That's what I would say about it. I would say it's half been a failure and it's half not. I'm going to be rating every player out of 10, with one being the lowest and 10 being the highest, including the manager. Every player is featured, obviously that is. But we've got to let last night. Obviously, we bottled the Europa League final, and to me that was down to Ollie. As obviously I did a reaction to it, and I was quite depressed and feeling grim. But I'm still depressed, but I'm feeling, I don't know, for some reason. Obviously, a lot of people have took negativity from yesterday, but and so have I. But I feel like we will be back. I feel like we definitely will be back. Of course, we've bounced back from things before. Things have felt worse before. I was speaking to someone last night and I was saying we'd rather these losses than the Europa League. Also, can I just say, this episode was supposed to be with Haye, who was on episode 2. But he's got some personal commitments and stuff like that, so he's unable to come on. But we're going to get him on again soon and speak about things and stuff like that. As I will be, but yeah, we're just gonna get straight into this. So we're gonna start with reviewing every single player who's featured for Manchester United out of 10 this season. 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, and we're gonna start with David Haye. I'd say a 4 because I think he's been below average. He's been below average for years, I would say, since the 2018 World Cup. I don't think he's bounced back from that struggle with Spain. But the final game, the semi-final second leg against Roma in the Europa League, it was an amazing performance. It gave me Arsenal 2017 flashbacks with that performance when Mr. DT off Arsenal Fan TV said De Gea could save the Titanic. So I'd say 4 out of 10 for De Gea. Yeah, I think he's been below average, but I think a lot of players have been below average this season. I think we've had some very, very good individual performances, and in that the middle period of the season where we were top of the league for like 2 weeks and everything was all fine and stuff like that. I feel like it's sort of, sorry, my camera's a bit, just let it focus. There we go. I feel like it's a bit, I feel like it's a bit clouded because that was where De Gea's gone wrong. But again, a lot of players have gone wrong in a lot of things this season, but including the coaching staff and Ollie. And I'm personally Ollie in. I will always back the manager. Despite I felt I couldn't back Mourinho and Louis van Gaal, and definitely not David Moyes. However, I feel like the progression Ollie's took us on so far is we'll be back because we had Chris Smalling and Phil Jones in defence, for example, when he took over, and look where we are now. And I'm not saying he's not been backed, and I'm not saying he has been backed. I think he has been backed, but I think he could have been backed a lot more, especially last summer when we were after Jadon Sancho. He could have been backed a lot more then. Obviously, luckily Cavani worked out, as we'll get onto in a few minutes, but I do think he could have been backed a lot more. To Dean Henderson, I'd give him a 5 out of 10, so just below average. We're going to say 6 out of 10's average. This is because I thought Henderson was truly the one to take us forward, because the timing came in a weird time for for De Gea because he obviously his his baby being born, sort of took him out of the team for a bit because he went on paternity leave. But I feel like at that point, that's when Henderson sort of came in to be number one. I don't know. I don't believe many people have mentioned this in the media and stuff like that. And there has been a media agenda against with the goalkeepers trying to push De Gea out. But I feel like De Gea will go anyway because of his baby. He might go back to Spain because obviously he'll want to be with his wife and his child, his first child, who's just been born. I feel like that will happen, and I don't feel like many people have mentioned that at all. Obviously, a lot of footballers have children and move them around from club to club when they're transferring and stuff like that. But I feel like De Gea, he's been settled here for so long. I feel like he might just go back to Spain and go back to his home, which he wanted to do in 2016 or 17 if it weren't for that dodgy fax machine. He wouldn't be here anymore, and we'd have Keylor Navas, as it was going to be a swap deal with Real Madrid for Keylor Navas. But thank God that he did stay because he has been a legend for us. He's stuck with us through hard times, De Gea. And thank God he has stayed because I don't know where we'd be. We'd be like 7th in the league most seasons. Some seasons I feel like he's carried us to top 4. So we're just going to get onto the defenders. We're going to go into Victor Lindelof, who he's not good enough. He's simply not good enough. I thought, I never liked him at the start, but then I thought, this guy could be some player here. And yes, he's got an injury. He's been carrying a back injury and we've been playing him. It seems to be a pattern with our club playing players with injury. But he's not good enough. He's too slow. He's very weak. He gets bullied easily in the air. And he's just not good enough. He's definitely not a good enough partner for Harry Mcguire. Definitely not. We obviously, as United, we started the season off very, very poorly, including Lindelof. In terms of performances, lacklustre performances, to say the least. We lost 3 games in 6 games and drew 1. Including losing 6-1 at home to Tottenham Hotspur and 3-1 at home to Crystal Palace, which was absolutely awful performances. And then you think, can we pick it up from here? We were 15th going into Christmas Day, and well, going into December. Sorry, at the start of December, and you think, can we pick it up from here? And it surely with Bruno Fernandez, Marcus Rashford, even Anthony Martial at that time, we were hoping he would pick up his performances. You would hope that you could pick them up, but we did. We picked the performances up, but we've come from behind to win 11 times this season, 33 points from winning positions, from losing positions we've got. That's a good thing, but I've been saying all season, this will dry up eventually. Hence, last night against Villarreal, second half FC, as we're called. But all jokes aside, eventually it does dry up. You don't come from behind to be a team because everyone else has got to go that level up. And it's because of some individual mistakes. For example, Lindelof last night getting bullied off the ball from a set piece again. We've conceded from a set piece again. It's frustrating. I think for me, I'm sort of done with Lindelof. Maybe he'll be a squad player. I just can't. I don't think he'll improve from here. I think he's like 26. I don't think he'll improve from here. I know he's got an injury, but he's too slow. It's not his fault that he's not good enough, but he just isn't good enough, and it's United's fault for buying him when Mourinho wanted Mcguire in that summer, or he wanted another centre half in that summer, but we got like a third choice. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It's ridiculous, honestly. Eric Bailly. So with Bailly, I thought he had a good middle to the season, but he's literally played less than 80 games for us in 5 years, and it's just not good enough. That it's not like Mcguire has overtaken him in games already. Mcguire's been here since last year, and Bailly's been here since 2016. Bailly's injury record, it's too much. It's too much. There's too many injuries. He's very reckless in games. For example, last night trying that bicycle kick in his box. Very, very reckless. I don't know what he was thinking there. I pointed it out at the time. I don't know what he's thinking. And you can say, yeah, but that's Eric Bailly. That's just Eric Bailly for you. He's a fun guy. He's a mad guy. He's a crazy guy. But you can't be doing that in a European final. In a European final, doing bicycle kicks in your own box when you're 1-0 down. Are you crazy? Are you actually crazy, Eric Bailly? What are you doing? What are you doing? Unbelievable. On Lindelof, by the way, I forgot to give him a score out of 10. I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10 because I think he's been below average too, and he's not been good enough. For Eric Bailly, I'm going to give him 6 out of 10 because I think he's been average for what he is. Because Eric Bailly, he's just not good enough. His talent, sometimes you think he can do it, sometimes you think he can't. His injury record, like I've mentioned, in and out, which I feel like is why Ollie has been reluctant to play him at times in games this season. For example, like this many times he could have played instead of Lindelof, and he's not played. This season he's probably been the most fit, but he's still been out for a good 3 months of the season. When these games, especially this season, which is unlike no other, these games every 2-3 days, and it's been relentless all season long. We've had the highest of highs this season. We've had the lowest of lows. For example, the highest of highs coming back from a losing position against Tottenham to batter them 3-1, but we battered them in that second half, and it was Mourinho, and it was a Mourinho shithouse performance in the first half. That was a great thing. That was a great game. That, for example, the 6-2 against Leeds, the 9-0 against Southampton. These were great games. Obviously, the 9-0 against Southampton, it's a fluke. It should be a once-in-a-lifetime thing, but Southampton have now been beaten 9-0 for 2 seasons on the bounce. That is madness. Absolute madness. So we're going to go to Harry Mcguire. Obviously, started off the season very, very lacklustre due to personal issues. He had a scrap with that police officer in Mykonos. My captain. No, but all jokes aside, he obviously was struggling from that. But it's obviously a traumatic thing to go through, to get arrested and to come back. But he's come on leaps and bounds this season. We might not have lost that game if Mcguire was playing last night, but he weren't fit, unfortunately. He's not only played every single game, pretty much for us. His performances have been unreal. I think he's low-key been one of the best defenders in the league this season, and you've got some amazing defenders that have played amazing this season in the league. You've got Ruben Diaz, you've got John Stones, you've got João Cancelo, you've got Luke Shaw, you've got Antonio Rudiger, even Thiago Silva at times has played amazing. You've got Wesley Fofana. Unbelievable. He's been unbelievable for us, Harry Mcguire. So I'd give him an 8 out of 10, mate. I'd give him an 8 out of 10. And I'm looking forward to seeing where he can take us as our captain next season. I'm really looking forward to that. So we're going to go on to Luke Shaw now. Luke Shaw was a player I thought, can he do it? Can he? That season before he got injured against PSV, oh my God, what a season he was having. What a season he was having. Unbelievable. But he got injured, obviously, unfortunately, and he seemed to never bounce back from there. But then 2 years later, he bounced back in 2018, and we're thinking, can he do it? And he got injured again, a long-term injury. And then you're thinking, this guy's maybe not good enough, and maybe his injury record's too much. This season, after buying Tellez and having some competition, what a player we have seen. It has been an absolute pleasure to see Luke Shaw this season. And I think he's come on leaps and bounds since having his baby as well. I think it's sort of, obviously I don't know because I've not got a child, but it sort of matures you mentally as a man, and sort of drives you, gives you that drive to go on and on, like that. And he's been unbelievable this season going forward and defending. Yeah, he's defending. Sometimes he's questionable in his positioning, but let's not forget he's sometimes trying to cover for Marcus Rashford, who's been injured all season out on that left side. Or he's got Anthony Martial playing there, who just quite simply has not been good enough this season at all. Excuse me. So for Luke Shaw, I'd give him a 9 out of 10. I would. For Alex Telles, as much as I've mentioned it in previous episodes as well, I think Alex Telles has helped Luke Shaw without knowing. I think he sort of give him that competition and drove him on. Alex Telles is good going forward, whips them crosses in, does all that, but he's not good enough defensively. He's not. He's just not. He's been frustrating too many times. I don't feel like it's been picked up a lot by our fans, and we're not just going to jump on one player's back. It's his first season. Obviously, it's a struggle moving to England during the coronavirus. It's a struggle moving to anywhere during the coronavirus, and to settle in quickly. For example, Edinson Cavani, Ruben Dias for City, unfortunately, and Wesley Fofana. You're moving somewhere where, especially in England, with the whole country's basically been shut down for a year and a half. And I know it's been like that for most of the world, but I would say for England, we've kind of had it bad with coronavirus, because we've sort of, obviously not as bad as like India. There's obviously levels to it. We've got massive amount of healthcare and stuff like that. But when everything's shut down, it's hard to get to know the city you're in. It's hard to settle down in this city, in the city and stuff like that. So I feel like I would give the new signings what another season and see what it can do. Obviously, when everything opens up again, Wan-Bissaka, feel like he's come on leaps and bounds going forward. Sorry for Alex Telles. I'd give him a 6 out of 10. I'd say it's an average season. So Telles 6 out of 10. Wan-Bissaka, I would say for Wan-Bissaka, he's come on leaps and bounds going forward. However, his positional sense, it's awful. His tackling's obviously second to none, Spider-Man, but his positional sense has been awful for like defending. For example, that game against Besiktas in the Champions League, he was all over the place. And I know Tuanzebe was at fault too, and other players were at fault too. Even Mcguire that day was at fault, but he was all over the place. But he's been consistent. He's played consistently. His injury records, he don't really get injured. So I'd give him a 7 out of 10. I would, because going forward, we needed him to advance going forward, and he's done it. He's done that, and he's been amazing going forward. So I'd give him 7 out of 10. Wan-Bissaka. Brandon Williams. Now this is an interesting one, because I know a lot of United fans, obviously including me, I sort of rate him because, number one, he's from Manchester. Whether he's a City fan or not, there's rumours that he might be a City fan. But whether he's a City fan or not, you can see he's a shithouse and he cares. He does care. But last season, I when he came through, I thought this guy might be our number one, our number one left back for many years to come. But seeing how good Luke Shaw's got this season, I think it's really exposed how vulnerable Brandon Williams is and how very average he is. He's very average, but it could be due to him not having that much game time. All he uses the same 12 to 15 players every single week, pretty much for the whole season, and all he's got to work on that squad rotation this next season. He's got to work on that. For example, Van der Beek, he's got to work on that. Absolutely got to work on that. So for Brandon Williams, I'd give him a 3 out of 10. I don't think he's been great. Axel Tuanzebe, he's been injured a lot, we also thought he could be our future centre back partner to Harry Mcguire. However, I just don't think he's good enough. I think he's got one mistake too many in him at all times. Even if he could perform well for 89 minutes and make a mistake on the 91st minute, like the first minute of injury time, and we concede. That's what it's like with Axel Tuanzebe. He's had some good performances this season. He literally pocketed Mbappe against PSG when we were away to them at the Parc des Princes, and God, that was an unbelievable performance. I thought this guy's unbelievable. This guy could take us on and be our centre back, as we knew Lindelof wasn't good enough at that point. But it's just not worked out for him, sadly. I don't think another loan would work. I think we would need to get rid of him, although I don't think we will. As Ollie mentioned, there won't be many outgoings. So for that, I'd give Axel Tuanzebe a 3 out. No, I'd give him a 5 out of 10, because I don't think it's all his fault. I think he's just not that good. I don't think he's that good. William Fish, or Will Fish, he only featured in one game for 5 minutes. This was against our last game of the season against Wolves, and obviously got a little cameo, but I would say it's not applicable. I just hope he can be a good defender in years to come. That's all I've got to say on William Fish. I've not seen much of him because I don't watch the youth team. You could say, oh, you're not a real fan, etc. But I go to college. I've also got anxiety, so I have to have rest days as well. So I don't watch the youth team, and there's enough football matches on as it is at the moment as well. It's games every few days. Obviously, it's going to stop for 2 weeks, and then the Euros are on now in 2 weeks. So we're going to go into the midfielders. Paul Pogba, as much as I think he's going to run his contract down, and it would be the smart thing to do from Paul Pogba, I think this season he has been unbelievable. As Gary Neville said, unbelievable. Yeah. His performances have been unreal. Whether he's out on that left side, whether he's in the middle, for the most part, he's been unreal. For example, the goal against Fulham. There's many I could pick out. There's many a game that I could pick out. But he can, obviously, he's one of the best midfielders in the world. Whether he's inconsistent or not doesn't matter, because his talent's unbelievable. And when he does perform, God, we know he performs like unbelievable. I wish he would stay, although I don't think he will stay. I wish he would. So for Paul Pogba, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10, because I think he's been above average, but I think some games he could have done more. Some games could have done more. Juan Mata, he's only featured in like 5 games this season. He's got a few goals, man. He scored a penalty against Wolves. Scored the penalty last night against Villarreal in the penalty shootout. But obviously, I think Juan Mata's become a cult hero for us. Well, not a cult hero, but sort of a United great. Not a legend, but a United great, because he stuck with us through hard times as well. Obviously, we signed him under David Moyes, and he's done a lot for us. He's a good player, matter. Me and my uncle always say, if he had pace, he'd be the best player in the world, because his technical ability is second to none. It is second to none. But he's just not got legs. He can't run. He literally just can't run. So for that, I'm gonna give Juan Mata a 6 out of 10, because I think it's been average for him, considering he's not played. I think he's done well when he has played. Fred, where do we start with Fred? Where do we start? How many times is he going to give the ball away? How many times is he gonna it's just a passion with Fred, with Mctominay and Fred. It's just passion, it's just energy, it's just passion merchants, that's all it is. He's not good enough. Fred was probably a third choice player to get, although City wanted him. City wanted him in that transfer window, and we snapped him up for 50 million. Boy, did we get ripped off there, because Fred, he's not good enough. He gives the ball away too much. He can't pass the ball. He's supposed to be either a box to box or a CDM. Obviously, we've been playing him in CDM as part of a double pivot with Mctominay, and they both can't even do. These two men that are trying to do one man's job that are failing to do one man's job. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. So for that, I'm gonna give Fred. I'm gonna give him a 4 out of 10. He's just not been good enough. He's not been good enough. Next, we go on to my favourite player, Bruno. What a signing! What a signing for £44 million. What a signing! What a signing that has been. I would say probably in the 442's lyrics of the Bruno chant, it's best midfielder since Paul Scholes, and I would say it probably is. It probably is because his goal contributions and his goal contributions are literally identical to Eric Cantona in the same amount of games. Now, I'm not saying he's as good as Cantona and ever will be. Obviously, Cantona is an absolute legend, unbelievable. But I would say he is. He could be the catalyst. He could speed everything up. We needed. We were so deprived of goals there in that number 10 position. We had Andreas Pereira taking 5,000 shots a game, giving the ball away too much. Just no creativity, complete and utter lack of creativity. We were losing the 1-0 to the likes of Newcastle, and you had Sean Longstaff bossing our midfield. Bruno Fernandez, what a signing! What a signing! I'm gonna give him a 9 out of 10. Unbelievable. For the Bruno haters out there, I'm sorry if you've seen this. I'm sorry. How can you say that a player isn't good enough, or he's brought nothing but failure to the club, or he's done this, he's done that, if he's or he's a pen merchant, if he's got the same amount of goal contributions as Cantona in the same amount of games? He's always in the refs here, which is I love. He's always moaning. You want that player that's always going to moan at the referee and do all this, because you need it. Obviously, it's similar to Roy Keane, just not as extreme. Roy Keane was an extreme winner and the most decorated captain of all time. Now, I do think Harry Mcguire should be our captain going forward, and I have changed my mind on that. I didn't think that should be the case, but I have changed my mind on that, and I'm going to give Bruno Fernandez a 9 out of 10. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. I'm sorry for any Bruno haters out there. Daniel James, I think he's had an alright season. When he's played, sometimes he's been effective, but he's only effective against low blocks, and that's the case with Bruno. With Daniel James. He's just he is what we bought. £15 million winger from Swansea in the Championship. He does what he says on the tin. He gets like 6 to 10 goal contributions a season. So I'm gonna give him a 5 out of 10 because it's not good enough for what we need. So hopefully we'll be getting Sancho. Fingers crossed. Which we should have got last season. So I'm gonna give him a 5 out of 10 because it's just below average. Nemanja Matic, I'm gonna give him a 6 out of 10. I think it's been an average season for him because, yes, he's not played much. McFred has played most of the season. However, he's been good when he's played. Yes, he can only play for 60 minutes because of his legs. Yes, he's not what he was even last season after lockdown when we were playing Pogba, Matic as the holding midfielder, Pogba as the in the middle, and Bruno there, and we were flying again. We were battering teams. He can't do that anymore. Obviously, he's getting older. But I think he's been good when he's been all right when he's played. All right. So I'm gonna give him a 6 out of 10. I think it's been average. Van der Beek. Where do we start? Because Van der Beek, I think I think he can be good enough. I think he really, really can be good enough. I definitely think he can be good enough. But this is on Ollie to use his squad rotation properly. Now, it's quite clear and evident that Ollie didn't ask for Van der Beek. It was a transfer sanctioned by Ed Woodward. A quick transfer contacting Van der Sar. That's what it was. Because otherwise, Ollie would have used him more. With that being said, Van der Beek had an amazing game in the pivot against Wolves on the last game of the season. You could say, yes, it's the last game of the season. The game doesn't even mean anything. This, that and the other. But he still played good. You can't take that away from him. He's definitely better than Scott McTominay and Fred. I'm going to give Van der Beek a 4 out of 10 because when he's played it, because he's been in and out of the team constantly and he's not really been rotated. He's not been great because he's not been rotated. And you could say, yeah, you're giving him higher than Brandon Williams, and Brandon Williams hasn't rotated. But Van der Beek has more talent than Brandon Williams. That's quite evident. Obviously, they're completely different players, completely different positions. But yeah, it's quite evident. So I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. Yeah, I hope he can. I hope he can. I hope he can become a great player for us. I really do. I like Van der Beek. Yeah, I think he can be a good player. Scott McTominay. Now, he's had his best goal scoring season for us. He's got like 8 goals. But no, he's not CDM. He's definitely not CDM. He's a box-to-box central midfielder. And for that, obviously, we've not got a CDM. It's so frustrating. So frustrating because we need a Declan Rice. We need a Bissouma. We need a Brozovic. We need an Ndidi. We need a Soumare who Leicester have just got for 20 million. What a bargain. What a bargain. And we've not got that CDM. James Garner's probably not ready. Probably needs another loan in the Premier League. There's rumours of him going to Norwich. Hopefully, he can progress and become our CDM. But we do need a CDM. We need a Declan Rice. Hopefully we can get Declan Rice. We've been with him again today, but it's hard to believe anything that comes from the club. Is it just PR? I think a lot of it is PR. I hope this isn't PR. I don't think Jadon Sancho is PR. I think we'll get Jadon Sancho eventually. I think it'll be long and drawn out, but I think we'll get him. So for Scott McTominay, I'm gonna give him a 5 out of 10 because of the goals. And last night he was our best player on the pitch against Villarreal. He was, and he was the only one who seemed like he cared last night. I'm gonna give him 5 out of 10 for the goals, but not CDM. Hannibal Mabry. He's not. He's only played one game, 5 minutes. He's obviously very young. He's like 18. He may be even younger than that. He might be 17. But for that, I'm gonna say non-applicable. I hope he can be a good player. That's all. Edinson Cavani, give it to Eddie Cavani. Pass him the ball and watch him score all the goals. I'm gonna give Cavani an 8 out of 10. That unbelievable signing, unbelievable. Obviously, it was a risk. It could have worked out like a Falcao signing, like an Alexis Sanchez signing, just another deadwood signing that nobody else wants. And I was there debating. Why does nobody want this guy? They all missed out. On a top class striker. Unbelievable. And he's mentoring. He's taking Mason Greenwood under his wing as well. Mason Greenwood. Imagine how much he's going to progress under Mason Greenwood. Oh, I cannot wait to see next season. The front four of hopefully Edinson Cavani, Bruno in the number 10, Edinson Cavani. Rashford on the left, and Sancho on the right wing, rotating Cavani with Greenwood, rotating Sancho with Greenwood too. Oh, I cannot wait. Ooh. This is why I'm not so depressed about last night. I'm depressed. Don't get me wrong. I wish we'd have won, and I would have been celebrating if we won, obviously. But I think we'll bounce back. I do. it hurts still. Obviously, it's very raw. It's literally 12 hours ago that we lost. So I'm gonna give Edinson Cavani an 8 out of 10. He's been injured and he's still scored a lot of goals. Anthony Martial, for that, I'm gonna for Anthony Martial's performances this season, and I know he's had a hard season. He's been racially abused and stuff like that, which obviously shouldn't happen. But even before that, his performances haven't been good enough. Yes, he was our player of the year last year, but he's never in the game like Cavani is. And I know you can say, oh, Cavani's a top class striker. He's literally a legend of a striker that's been around many clubs in Europe, and Martial's younger than him as well. But Martial doesn't seem to want to get better. He does. It seems like he's not good. He's not been good enough. I personally feel like his performances this season have been unforgivable, awful performances. But I think we'll stick with him as a club, and hopefully as fans we stick with him, and hopefully he can improve. But I just don't see it. I'm gonna give Martial a 3 out of 10. Awful season. Marcus Rashford, unreal season on and off the pitch. He literally runs this country. He literally scores goals by day, runs this country by night. Literally. So for Rashford, he's been injured obviously all season. He literally said he's not played for 2 years without pain, and for that, he doesn't have good performances this season. He hasn't had that great performance all the time, but he's always popped up like that with one great goal or one great moment. For example, against Wolves, we were trying to break them down. We were trying to break them down all game. 91st minute. This is the goal that took us to the top of the league, and he scored in the 96th minute and on basically the last kick of the game against Wolves. And that was unbelievable, right, by Rashford. I love it. I love him. So for off the season, off the pitch, I'm gonna give him a 10 out of 10. Definitely. Well, even an 11 out of 10, I'm gonna give him. And for on the pitch, I'm gonna give him an 8 out of 10. I think it's been a good season. He's elite. He's an elite winger, whether you like it or not. He's elite. Obviously he needs rest to get better, to recover. Mason Greenwood, unbelievable. He's progressed unbelievable. He's got stronger. He's got in the game more. He's working on his game. He's working on his movement. His crossing's getting better on the right wing. His finishing's obviously second to none. Unbelievable. I'd say for this season for Mason, it's an 8 out of 10 season. He didn't have a great start to the season. He got thrown under the bus by Southgate. And also he lost his best friend to suicide, and he was going through some personal issues with his girlfriend / partner. I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me on that, but I think that's what was going on. So for Greenwood, I'm gonna give him an 8 out of 10. Unbelievable. Cannot wait to see more of this guy in the future. Unbelievable. Ahmad, only 3 games. Obviously we bought him in the summer, but he couldn't play due to his work permit till January. He's only played 3 games for us. He got a goal against AC Milan, that backwards header, and it was unbelievable. A great ball and great goal. What a goal that was for an 18-year-old boy. What a goal. I dream of scoring that. I'm 18, I dream of scoring that at Old Trafford in front of fans or not. I dream of that. He had a great performance against Wolves as well. I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10, just above average when he's played. It's been good. I hope he can progress more. Obviously, it was like a 10th choice signing or whatever, because we should have got Sancho, and so was Pellistri. But obviously, he's been on loan to Deportivo Alaves or whatever they're called. But yeah, I'm gonna give him an 8 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Anthony Elanga, he's 19, Swedish. Winger, from what I can make out. We've literally seen it. We've seen it for 2 games. We played against Leicester with a very, very weakened side. Obviously, we had them like 4 games in 8 days or whatever it was, or 4 games in 7 days. So we had to play that side, and yeah, he looked promising. He looked promising. Nothing special that game, but he looked promising. It was only his debut. And then that game against Wolves, what a goal, what a header, what a header, what a header. I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10 because it's been just above average because his goal. He's only played 2 games, obviously, and Shola Shoretiri. Not seen much of him. We've seen 2 games of him, and he looked good. He looked promising. But I'm gonna give him a 6 out of 10. I think he's been average. Just for them 2 games. Yeah, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. No, I'm massively Ole in it. I am. I back him all the way. I really want him to succeed, as we all do, but he's got some things to work on. As we know, he's still learning on the job, because that's the choice we went for as a club. Well, the Glazers went for because it was the cheaper option, but he's a United legend, and that's the choice we went for. So I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10 because he's pushed his team to the limit. He has pushed his team to the maximum. We're second place with a midfield pivot that's awful in McFred. I was speaking to someone the other day and saying how far down the league you have to go to find a better midfield pivot than us. So I'll do it now. You've got City. Sorry, let me just get the Premier League table up. You've got City who've got a better midfield pivot than us. That's one. You've got us, so that's McFred. You've got Liverpool, better midfield pivot. You've got Chelsea, better midfield pivot. You've got Leicester, better midfield pivot. You've got West Ham, better midfield pivot. You've got Tottenham, better midfield pivot, in my opinion, although can be debated. You've got Arsenal, not a better midfield pivot. So that's you've got to go to 8th to get a bit better midfield, to get a worse midfield pivot than us. And then you go further down the league. So that's 7 teams so far that have got a better midfield pivot than us. You've got Leeds, better midfield pivot with probably with Calvin Phillips. You've got Everton, better midfield pivot with Alan. You've got Aston Villa, probably not a better midfield pivot. So that's 2 teams that haven't. 2 teams that haven't. Newcastle, not a better midfield pivot. So that's 3 teams that haven't. You've got Wolves, better midfield pivot in my opinion. You've got Crystal Palace, not a better midfield pivot. So that's 4 teams. You've got Southampton. I'd say better midfield pivot. No, I wouldn't. I'd say not a better midfield pivot. So that's 5 teams. You've got Brighton. I'd say definitely a better midfield pivot with Bissouma. Unpopular opinion, by the way. If Brighton had a good striker, they'd be a top half team. Definitely. Burnley, not a better midfield pivot. So that's 6 teams. Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield United, not a better midfield pivot. So that's 9 teams. 9 teams for the biggest club in the league. That's not good enough that I've got a better midfield pivot than us. That is not good enough. Not good enough. Absolutely not good enough. It's not Ollie's fault that he's not got a good midfield. He could have played Pogba there sometimes. Could have played Van der Beek there sometimes. He could be using his subs better. Some of his tactics have been dry and drab and boring. But he's took us to second in the league. He came into this job with bloody Phil Jones and Smalling at the back. Phil Jones and Chris Smalling. How is Phil Jones still at this club, by the way? How? It's a farce, that. 11 years. 10 years even, or 11 years, whatever it is. How is he still at this club? So, yeah, he's took us to second. He walked into an absolute mess of what previous managers had caused. It was a culmination of things. It was a culmination of Moyes going, staff going, Louis van Gaal coming in, staff going, Mourinho coming in, staff going. Also, Deadwood signings. He walked into a mess and he's changed the attitude around of this club. People could say, oh, he's too nice. To change the attitude around of this club, you've got to have balls of steel. You've got to. And we love him, especially match-going fans. And I'm not taking the piss out of non-match-going fans or anything, but we all love him as match-going fans. This loss does hurt against Villarreal. It does, but we will bounce back. We lost against Barcelona in the 2009-10 Champions League final and 2011 as well. We bounced back from them. we did. Obviously that was under Fergie, and Ollie's still learning on the job. For Ollie, I'm gonna give him an 8 out. No, I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10, just above average. He's got a lot of things to work on. He's got a lot of things to work on and just above average. So to let you guys know, this is obviously a shorter episode of the podcast than the last one with Harry, and these will be generally the lengths of the episodes. Next week will be next Friday night, hopefully, that I upload a video. I'm uploading a video on Saturday night coming up. Reaction to the Champions League final. Come on, Chelsea, fucking beat them stupid dickheads. But yeah, I'll be doing a reaction video to that. That will only be like 10 minutes long maximum. An Obsession Reacts episode, and then the next video after that will be a podcast episode being filmed on Friday with the fan forum of Joe Glazer. I will be filming it with my cousin called Aaron. So he'll be here with me. Just to let you guys know. And yeah, so this has been Kian from the Football Obsession, and I'm out.